The average man today is sleepwalking through life, many never reaching their true potential, let alone ever crossing the finish line to living a purposeful life. Luckily, throughout history, there exists a few good men we can look to for guidance. Strong, confident, driven. Men who weren't afraid to face the greatest tyrant they've ever known, their minds. Forged in the fire of their shadows, these men knew who they were at their core, solid in their convictions, owners of their reality, men of action, strength, and character, masters of their destiny. Today's man is no different. The hunger still exists, albeit buried amidst his cluttered mind, misguided beliefs, and values that no longer serve them or the world. There's never been a better time than today for men to stand up and claim their stake. It's time to reconnect to your life purpose, evolving into husbands and fathers our wives and children deserve, becoming masters of our life and the leaders of our homes and community. Ever evolving, today's man is assured he is aligned for greatness. Welcome to the movement. Stay strong, my brother.
So welcome everyone. My name is Alan DeMonso and I'm the founder of the Evolving Man podcast. And today I'm really excited to introduce a special guest. We're going to touch on some serious stuff that's going on for men today. We're going to start off really looking into the neuroscience of the body, but we're going to spend the most of the discussion today on dealing with impotence and the challenges that face men, especially as we get older. And so today I'd like to take the moment now and introduce Dr. Chris Kramp with Kramp Chiropractic. Chris, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me here today, Al. I really appreciate it and look forward to our chat today.
Right on. So before we get started, just wanted to get a little bit of background on yourself and your practice and what you're going to bring to the table today.
Absolutely. So for your listeners that are unfamiliar with me, I'd like to introduce myself. And I have a little bit of an interesting background. My history is my parents had me when they were literally kids. My mom was 15, my dad was 16. And I didn't actually know my dad until I was about 11. But growing up with my mom, the paradigm of thinking that she had, that I grew up with, was that there was a pill for every ill. And that's all I knew. I didn't know any different. Just when you were sick, you take a pill. And that's until I met my dad when I was 11. My dad changed my perspective on health and what that was and what it meant. He had recently became a chiropractor when I met him. And I saw him literally change lives without drugs or surgery. It blew my mind and it shaped who I am today. Everything I strive to achieve in health, I look first for in natural alternatives and prefer to leave drugs and surgery as an absolute last resort. I graduated chiro school in 2007. I opened up my office in March of 2008, and I haven't looked back. We now have 3 chiros in the office. We have 3 massage therapists, and we have a holistic nutritionist in the office as well. So outside of work, I like to try to stay as busy as possible. I'm quite active as an individual. I enjoy running. I play on 2 to 3 different hockey teams. I try to work out on a regular basis. I volunteer in the community. I volunteer with one of the national associations for chiropractic. And of course, I've got 3 amazing daughters that keep me quite busy too.
Right on. Great to hear. It's so interesting you talking about your story and about how we were raised and everything was a pill, and then you think that that's really how medicine was and still primarily is today, that we fix things, we're more reactive than we are proactive. And so I think that's what really attracted me to, chiropractic work and the work that you do, is that it's really about preventative and taking that step forward. And so I think today's conversation is going to be really enlightening for a lot of guys and ladies that may be listening. So why don't we get started on the topic today? And the first question I'd like you to, kind of unpack for us is, what is this neurobody and the neuroscience of the body all about?
Okay, so the biggest thing to understand is that neurology, although it sounds like it'd take a genius to understand it, it really is about connecting the brain and the body through a wired pathway. Similar to having a light switch and wires going to the lights in your home, right? A dimmer switch that turns it up and turns it down. We all know the brain controls every function of the body. And it does this through that nervous system. This is the brain-body connection. It's such a vitally important system that's encased in bone to protect it from damage. Because we all know that if you sever that spinal cord, it results in paralysis, right? Nothing will work if you break that connection from the brain to the body. So this message pathway is extremely efficient, provided there is no interference in the system. And this is what my particular focus as a chiropractor is on. I look to remove the interferences within the system to allow for a better connection between the brain and the body.
Yeah, you bet. You're explaining that, and I'm right away. The image I had in my mind was Superman. Christopher Reeve and that horrible horse riding accident that he had that just left him completely paralyzed because of a severed spine, right? And just it can be anything can happen to us, right? Playing hockey, of big hockey players, lots of hockey up here in Canada, and so it's not uncommon to hear about kids and adult men getting hit incorrectly in the boards and having a really fatal serious accident. So it's really important that we take care of ourselves and we do the right thing. Yeah. So now I want to get into this real deeper topic, and something that's really, I think, it's on most men are afraid to talk about this, especially in public, and I think we need to start talking about it. I'm going to be 55 here in a short little while, and so as I get older, you think about the body's system, and with the equipment just isn't the same like it was in its 20s. We'll say it that way. And so let's talk a little bit about impotence and the challenge that you're facing men. So how does impotence connect to our nervous system?
Great question. The first thing we need to know is that erections are connected to a part of the nervous system that control the involuntary reactions. So what this means is that we can't just sit there and consciously create an erection, right? Which, from my experience, I wish I could control. How many times have there been scenarios where you're sitting in a pool or a meeting and all of a sudden you're stricken by that unwanted erection, right? It's super embarrassing. Conversely, how many times has it happened to men where everything seems to be feeling right and all of a sudden finding that your penis isn't cooperating? It's super frustrating, to say the least. Yeah. And when we talk about impotence, it gets really tricky because there's so many reasons why someone will experience impotence. There's the mental, emotional stress factor. There's health issues like diabetes, high cholesterol, heart disease, prostate issues, or even cancer issues. There are also issues as it relates to spinal issues. And it's not uncommon for men that have disc herniations in the lumbar region to experience impotence. And chiropractic helps immensely with people going through spinal health issues. And I've seen it many, many times in my office.
Yeah, and it's great that you bring that up. And it's there's no real silver bullet for this. And there's there's things that we need to do, and preventative, and I'll call it like a preventative maintenance program for our bodies. And so, and as we get and as we get older and we think about that, you're absolutely right. Like how often have we had that experience with the unwanted erection? Even in the doctor's office, right? And not necessarily a great experience, but these can happen, and as try as we might, and we may think that we're in control of that part of our body, and then lots of times that we're just not. Yeah. So you started to touch on a little bit about prostate. So let's talk a little bit about prostate and performance health, and how does the health of the prostate relate to impotence?
Yeah, as men, we really need to not be afraid to talk about impotence. It doesn't make us any less of a man. And in fact, it can save our lives, because prostate cancer is a cancer that often does not display any symptoms until it's too late. One of these symptoms, though, is sudden onset of impotence, right? So if you're finding that one day it's just like a light switch where you're having trouble getting erections, highly recommend having a visit to your medical doctor to have tests done. If you're noticing a slow progression of impotence, it's still a good idea to get checked, but the likely culprit is an enlarged prostate. The prostate is responsible for creating seminal fluid needed for ejaculation. And if it's not functioning properly, then we just see that system struggle.
Yeah, no kidding, right? For sure. And any of us that have experienced or had an enlarged prostate, or you've had part of it removed or all of it removed, these could be some side effects that could also occur. So it's really great that you bring that up. So how can the body then heal itself?
Yeah, so that's a great question. This is an area that I really specialize in. I love finding body hacks to allow the body to heal and regulate the way it was designed to. The older we get, the harder it is for the body to heal, but that doesn't mean it's impossible. The first thing we need to address are underlying health issues that are causing impotence. Once we have answered that, then we can look at the way that we can reverse the problems. You know, I always like to say the greatest doctor is the doctor within. You are the greatest healer. And my goal as a chiropractor is literally to remove the interferences that are restricting your body's ability to heal and regulate. So often what we'll do is we'll follow a plan of diet, exercise, and chiropractic care. And once we get on that pathway, we often get phenomenal results.
Yeah, you bet. Geez, I really like that your line there that the greatest doctor is the doctor within. It's so true. That's why the placebo effect is so powerful, right? And so when we truly understand and how much control we really do have over things, over our mindset, then we can start making some positive change in that area and all areas of our life, actually.
Absolutely. And, you know, we talk about the placebo effect,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a very powerful effect, like you said. On the opposite end of the spectrum is the nocebo effect, which is the opposite effect of. So there could be a negative effect because of this mental kind of capacity. And so what we always want to do is we want to try to create a positive kind of effect within the body. The placebo effect is nothing to be afraid of. It's literally the body healing itself.
Yeah, outstanding. Great point about the nocebo as well. So what are things that people can do to get healthy and stay healthy?
So I love the mantra, eat well, move well, and think well. Okay, so eat well. This means having a good diet with a variety of foods and supplements. For people struggling with impotence, I usually recommend omega-3s, saw palmetto, and lots of tomatoes, as they have lycopene, which within them, which have been shown to be extremely beneficial for prostate health. When we look at move well, now this is like exercise, right? And I can't stress this enough. We should be getting at least 30 minutes of exercise a day. And this doesn't need to be strenuous exercise. You don't have to be out there getting a huge sweat on. It could be something as simple as walking. The research is very clear. If you're exercising on a regular basis, it makes a huge difference for a lot of areas of health that are affecting male performance. Now, in the move well sphere is also the concept of having a spine that is moving well as it relates to many aspects of health. So if your spine is healthy, then your nervous system is going to be functioning a whole lot more efficiently. So I highly recommend chiropractic care to ensure top performance as well. And then finally, think well. Having positive thoughts about who you are as a man, about your present state, makes a huge difference. And this kind of goes back into that nocebo effect as well, right? Because if you're having these negative thoughts, it has this negative outcome. And the body actually has been shown through research to not heal as well when you're having negative kind of thoughts and emotions. So all too commonly as men, we shy away from talking about mental health because we don't want it to make it seem like we're weak. However, there's no shame in talking about mental health. And in fact, I firmly believe that it makes you brave and strong to be able to talk about areas that you're struggling in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, two strong topics today, right? That we as men tend to want to keep within ourselves, the challenge of having impotence or performance issues and mental health. And the time has come now that we need to stop keeping this all inside and to find areas and ways to speak about it, whether it's visiting yourself, enlightened chiropractic care, or joining a men's group, or doing whatever you need to do, finding that resource for you that helps you get through some of the struggles that we face. So what do you have any parting words for us today on the topic or anything at hand?
Yeah, to sum everything up I've talked about here today, I think if you're having any impotence problems, then definitely talk to someone. There are so many avenues of help that you don't need to be struggling. Find someone knowledgeable about how the body works. If you live near me, please feel free to contact me. And if you don't, still contact me by email, Dr. Kramp at krampchiropractic.com. And I will happily help you find someone to talk to you in your area. And I just want to say thanks so much for having me on your show. It's been an absolute honor.
No, well, thank you very much, Chris, for joining us today. It was really enlightening. I think that we shed a lot of good light on this topic. It's such an important topic that for men to really start to get a grasp of and get a handle on what's going on in their lives and their bodies, so we can still live with a true, strong masculine identity. Because far too often do we make singular choices on what we think defines us as a man, and you touched on that right off the hop, and I think that's great. So what I'll do is I'll put your contact information in the show notes. They'll be below. You'll be able to reach out to you through email, phone, and where you're on social media and the website. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today here, Chris, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.
Awesome. You too, Al.
So your journey doesn't have to end today. Come join me at the Band of Brothers. It's our weekly Inner Circle group. The sessions I have are broken into 2 parts. Our first part is on a specific topic with time to discuss the experiences related around that topic. And then second part is about a round table, and that's an opportunity for men to be able to share about the things that are going on in their lives and to be able to get some guidance from the men in the group. We meet on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and you can find us at members.theawakenedman.net. I look forward to seeing you in the Brotherhood.
Thank you for listening to the Evolving Man podcast. Are you ready to own your destiny? To become more the man you are destined to be? Join the Brotherhood that is The Awakened Man at theawakenedman.net and start forging a new destiny today.